Welcome to another episode of the Thai Dad Podcast. This is episode 28 and I'm Nathan Ross, your host, and with me I have my wife Melissa Ross, and today we're going to talk to you about a hot topic that has come across my path many times on social media.
Okay.
Many people reached out to me. I spoke to someone in my clinic on Monday night about it, and it's how to prevent marriage breakdown.
How to prevent it.
How to prevent marriage breakdown. 3 key areas that you need to work on to ensure or to prevent marriage breakdown.
And you are the genius at this.
I am. And do you know why I'm a genius?
Tell.
No, you tell them. You tell them.
Do tell.
You tell them. Why am I a genius at this?
Because we've been through it.
We've been through it. We have been through it. So, 2024, we decided to make a go of our marriage again. Mm-hmm. Would you put it like that?
No.
No? Go on then. What would you put it like?
I
Go on. You're here, so you might as well put it in.
decided to make a go of our marriage again, like we'd amicably decided not to.
It's all amicable. It was all
Tell the real story.
It was all your fault, but it was all amicable.
Okay.
No, so I wanted to come back and rebuild our marriage, didn't I? In February 2024. Mm-hmm. We'd been discussing it up until then, and then we decided to go for it and try and rebuild our marriage.
Yeah.
It was probably one of the hardest things we've ever done.
I think in the midst of it all, you were having a real low, weren't you?
Yeah.
So coupled with us trying to rebuild and repair a relationship, you were going through a lot of personal struggles as well.
Yeah. And a lot of mental struggles as well, which maybe that could be another podcast as well.
Yeah.
It's real.
So
mental health is real.
Yeah. So it was a double whammy, as they might say.
Yeah, it was a double whammy.
It was trying to rebuild us, but at the same time trying to rebuild yourself.
Yeah. If I remember, and this is one thing I always remember having that hard conversation. Well, Emmy was at Chia. Mm-hmm. You had a list, and you were wanting to ask me questions, and you just went through these questions.
Yeah.
And you just wanted answers, didn't you?
Well, for so many years, there was no accountability taken from yourself about certain situations and about things that you hadn't been honest about.
Yeah.
And I remember vividly saying to you, I can't move forward while these things are still up in the air, unanswered, while you're not taking accountability for them, while you're not being real.
Yeah.
So unless we have this very, very blunt and honest conversation, which is going to be hideous to have, and it was.
Yes. Yeah.
There's things I never want to hear come out of your mouth again.
No.
But until we had that conversation, I didn't feel like we'd wipe the slate clean.
Yeah, we couldn't move on. So we've got our own experience of how we rebuilt our marriage, but I do believe there's a foundation that you need to work from. I could call it a template.
Yeah.
That I do think you need to work on in order to rebuild your marriage. And I'm talking from a man's point of view, okay? I'm talking from a man's point of view. What does a man need to do in order to get his wife's attention, get his wife's love, trust, faithfulness, respect? What 3 things are the foundations that the man needs to work on in order to rebuild?
Well, they're good starting points, right?
Yeah, they are good starting points. And also sometimes a man needs clarity in what he needs to rebuild on. And most of the time, the woman won't tell us what we need to do. Okay, for you'll tell us what you want to happen, but a man has to find out what he needs to do himself in order to rebuild himself, rebuild his marriage.
I think from an onlooker, as in your partner or your ex-partner or whoever it is, looking on, we can kind of tell you what we think is going to be beneficial for you. Like for you had completely turned your world upside down from what I saw. So I kind of was trying to advise you from an outsider's perspective almost, although we were married, and saying to you, you need to go back to what you loved in the beginning, like you've lost who you are. And slowly, during that crisis of a time, you completely lost who you were. Ultimately, I was trying to advise you from a friendly perspective almost, not even just as a loving partner or as your wife. It was more so just as an onlooker saying to you, you've lost who you are, you need to get back to...
So this is number 1.
Doing the things that you loved.
This is number 1.
And I don't know any of these points, actually.
So this is number 1. As a man, you need to start finding who you are, okay? And I don't mean surface level, like, I like football. I like to go to the gym. Okay, you need to find who you truly are when everything's gone, when no one's watching, when you haven't got habits or hobbies in the way. Who are you? What are you when everything's stripped away? And when you look in the mirror, who actually are you? Because I think most of the time, men put distractions in place to cover up, band-aid, plaster over who they really are and what they really want.
And I think if you ask most men, who are you? You'd be like,
I wouldn't know.
Well, like you say, I like football, or
Yeah.
I'm a family man.
Yeah.
I'm a dad.
Yeah.
I work hard.
Got my own business and all this stuff. But that doesn't matter when your marriage is on the rocks.
And those things don't define who you are as a person either.
No.
Are you a person of integrity? Are you a person of honesty? And are you a person is true to their word?
Yeah. And are you a person that's got a faith? So all these things. And so number one is you need to strip back all the distractions, all the BS that's going on for you, surface level wise, and ask yourself, who am I? And that is probably one of the hardest conversations you need to make and have with yourself. I did it in counselling. I went for therapy, didn't I?
Well, you broke before that.
Yeah, I broke. Yeah,
and that was your turning point, really.
Yeah.
You said you need help.
Yeah.
You don't know who you are anymore. You'd lost your purpose.
Yeah.
You didn't really have.
I didn't
You didn't have much drive to want to be here anymore. Let's be honest. You were like, my world has completely fell apart.
Yeah.
I don't know who I am. What's the point?
Yeah.
Why am I here?
Yeah.
I'm no good for anyone.
And the turning point was then when I started going to therapy and doing the deeper raw conversations alongside us doing the deeper long raw conversations.
You uncovered a lot of stuff, didn't you, that you didn't even know you were masking.
Yeah. And that was the key. So number one is have the hard conversation with yourself and ask the question, who am I when everything's gone? Yeah. When it's just you and a mirror and there's no distractions and there's nothing to take your attention. Who are you? What do you stand for? What do you believe in? What are your values? What are your standards? Because it's a hard question. So that's number one.
Yep.
What do you think number two is?
That's a good first point.
From a woman's perspective, how would you think to rebuild? I know because I've done it.
So ask yourself who you are, and then also put a lot of time and effort into who you are and who you are as a couple as well.
Yeah.
Start investing time back into yourself and also into your relationship.
Yeah. So number two is time.
Was I right?
You're right. Number two is time.
Yeah.
Because I think it's very easy if you want to rebuild marriages is to talk about the marriage, isn't it? I want to rebuild a marriage. What do I need to do? And then you start having conversations about the marriage.
And you can talk idealistically about...
Yeah. You need to do this. You're not doing this. And it becomes a tit for tat.
We'll make a plan of this is what you're going to do and this is what I'm going to do. But unless you're putting it into action.
Yep. And so what we decided to do was, you know what? Instead of thinking about what I needed to do, because I was doing that on the side anyway, we just got to fall in love again with each other by doing things that we love to do. Like we went away, we went on date nights again. We started rekindling the love that we had for each other.
We made some plans.
We made plans together.
We were always a couple that did that. And I think we quickly got back into the habit of doing the things that we originally loved.
We're doing,
And what we loved about each other.
Yeah.
Enjoying that side of things, because I think we'd lost that.
Yeah. Because it's so easy when you're trying to work on your marriage or rebuild or come back from a divorce or whatever your situation you are, or maybe not, but thinking about ahead, it's quite easy to discuss the topic that is making your marriage not working. Okay, so we could have gone on for ages about what I had done, why did I leave, all these sort of things. When we had one conversation, well, probably had 2 or 3 hard conversations, I went off to therapy, and instead of us coming together all the time to talk about what I had done, how we're going to rebuild it, we were like, how about let's do things that make us happy and actually enjoy each other, because we're meant to be best mates in our relationship. Most of the time, and someone I spoke to on Monday night, he was like, he came to me obviously because he wanted to talk about his marriage and his and rebuilding and himself and this, that and the other. But I was like, the question I asked him was, what do you like about your wife? What do you love about your wife?
You've got to remember the reason that you fell for each other in the first place.
Yeah. And so number 2 is putting in the time and effort to re-love the person you're with.
Because that's what it is. It is time. And not focusing so much on the negatives. Don't get me wrong, they still crop up.
Of course they do.
For us, and they will forevermore.
Yeah.
But rather than that taking the spotlight on the relationship all the time and focusing on what you've done or what you haven't done or currently what you're not doing or what you are doing.
Yeah.
Anything that you're putting a focus on will be highlighted, right? You focus on the good, and the good will rekindle and keep on going. You keep highlighting all the negatives, and they will resurface constantly.
And I think from a woman's point, let's say the man's trying to rebuild trust, rebuild respect. What he doesn't always constantly want to be reminded of, what he's done wrong.
Yeah, and we've had those conversations, haven't we?
Yeah.
It's not that you don't want to give me a platform to express how I
yeah,
feel.
Yeah.
It's just that when I do that, it takes you back to remembering the man that you were, and you don't like that.
No,
so what I've learned to do personally as the woman or as the person on the other side of this situation is to have those conversations, not necessarily with you anymore. If I'm feeling triggered or I'm feeling a certain way about something, talking to you about it is not going to change the situation. We're in the position that we're in, and we're working hard at our relationship, and we're doing great. But sometimes if I just need that time just to vent or to go back to the past.
Which you do to me sometimes, which is I accept and I acknowledge.
But I do try to now think about where's that conversation going to lead us to. And if I just need a vent, I'll do it to my girlfriends. I'll do it to a couple of close friends that I've got that understand the dynamic between us. And I'll just say, do you know what? I just need to get this off my chest. But doing that with you isn't always
beneficial
productive
for us.
So that's what your friends are there for. So feel free. What's worked for me and what's worked, I think, working better for us, rather than me bringing up things that are hurtful from the past up to you all the time. Share it with someone impartial.
That's not judgmental either. So time's a massive factor, isn't it, in spending time with each other. And then that leads on to, last but not least, number 3. And this is one of the things that my counsellor spoke to me about, and I've never even thought about it until we had a conversation, that you actually choose to love that person.
Yeah. You say this quite often.
I do, yeah. And it really hit home, because we automatically think of love as an emotion, and that it's there and it's sparkling and I'm all over you because I love you and all that sort of thing.
Which it is most of the time.
Yeah, obviously. But I think when you're looking to rebuild or things are on the edge of breaking down, you've got to ask yourself the question, if I'm choosing to love this partner of mine, my wife or whatever it is, how do I need to act?
I think that's where society's gone wrong now, because I think we focus so much on...
Bold statement.
No, but I just think it's so much of love is focused on a feeling, and feelings are fleeting, emotions are fleeting, and that whole thing of, you know, if you're not feeling it anymore, perhaps you should walk away, and that comes back to love being a choice. You've made a commitment to somebody, and you may not be in love with them in a crazy way every single day of your life. That's unrealistic. But I think what's happened is it becomes too easy for people to walk away, because that whole thing of, oh, well, you know, you've got to feel that love, and if you don't feel it anymore, maybe it's not right. But actually, it's not that. It is, like you say, a conscious choice. I am going to choose to love this person, regardless of they're doing my head in or not. If
and let's be real, guys. Sometimes you're not seeing eye to eye. You're not seeing eye to eye, okay? And I want to talk more so from the back end of, if your relationship's on a breakdown, or things aren't going amicably or good, or you feel, or you might be looking elsewhere because you deserve better, and all the things that could happen, or you might think your wife's backed off, then, because most of the time when your wife backs off, the automatic reaction from manager, I'm going to back off as well, and that's not healthy as well.
Then the wall comes.
And then someone whispers in your ear, oh, I wouldn't do that. And that, we've spoken about that before. But you've got to start asking yourself, if I'm choosing to love the person I'm with, how must I act to show that?
Yeah, how am I actually doing that?
Yeah, how am I doing that? Because it's very easy to say, yeah, I love her, or I love my wife, and all that sort of thing.
And how does that person know?
How does that person know? And it comes back to the 5 love languages, but also it comes back to effort. It literally comes back to effort. And I think one of the things that we've noticed, I don't know about you, but what I've noticed is, since we've rebuilt our marriage and we are more, I'd probably say more aware that when we have an argument, it's over quite quick. Because I've realised personally, I don't know about you, but when you're not together, and it's going to sound really cheesy, this is, but when you're not together, I know you love cheese, but when you're not together with someone that you actually love and want to be with, when you're not with them, you miss the arguments. Because you rebuild back up.
Yeah.
And you appreciate that actually arguments that you are having before, well, the arguments you used to have, it was more of a tit for tat, trying to get one over. And now our arguments are like, come on, man, stop being a dickhead. Do you know what I mean? And I can be quite stubborn. She can be more stubborn. But it's more so the thing of like, we've been in this situation before.
It's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal.
And I think we know what it's like not to have each other. So I think both of our thing is we never want it to ever get to that.
No.
And you think, really, in the grand scheme of things, what are you arguing about that's
and
that big of a deal?
Let's be real. The topics that you mostly argue about is either money, your child,
jobs around the house, like responsibilities, who's not doing
blue
what,
or pink jobs, and that's about it.
Yeah, work, being tired, things like that.
Yeah, but it's just bitty,
might be family. We don't really argue about external family, but
it's usually bitty, crappy stuff that is so irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. And the problem is when your relationship's on a breakdown or heading towards that, the little things become big things,
and you stop doing the little things that count as well. Like when I'm at home, I like to make lunch for you. You're more than capable of making your own lunch.
I like her making my lunch.
I like to do for you. I'm like, do you want a drink while you're working? Can I get you a coffee? It's little things that all add up to a general nice atmosphere in the house. And the more I do it for you, I notice the more you do it back for me.
And it's a ripple effect. It's a ripple effect.
Yeah.
It's things like when I come back from. It's really funny because my little one pulled me up the other week about it. When I came back from home, she was like, "What type of attitude is that? Is to walk in or something?" Because
normally you walk in and say hi to both of us and give us a kiss or whatever, and you just walked in. And
I can't remember what. I think it did a joke or something. She was like, "What type of attitude is that to walk back into?" It's because I usually walk and go, "Hi girls," and make a big song and dance about it and all that sort of thing.
She's just used to that now, isn't she? It's. And you never walk in a bad mood anyway, but if you don't do your usual routine of coming in and saying hello to us.
She's our daughter, she does routine.
Yeah.
So really, you got to start looking at, and which is number 3, if you're choosing to love your partner, and even though you're going through a breakup or your relationship's breaking down or there's the divorce cards on the table, then you got to start asking yourself, how you acting to show that you love your partner.
You'd be surprised how quickly you can turn a really negative atmosphere around by just doing some very simple, thoughtful things. I.e., when it's cold outside or when it's icy, you go and defrost my car for me. It's really little petty things, but it does just completely turn the attitude and the atmosphere around.
I will say though, guys, if your relationship is to a point where you're having the hard conversations about going your separate ways, it takes a new level of commitment to rebuild, doesn't it? Because you're both already thinking about going separately. You're both already thinking about having single lives or lives apart. And so your mindset of thinking, and this is what happens usually, your ego kicks in, where you don't want to make the effort because, well, we're going to separate, or I don't want to make the effort because I don't want to look stupid and stuff like that. Most people that I've spoken to now when it comes to this topic is, you can rebuild your marriage, you can salvage your marriage. Okay.
You have to put your resentment aside.
You have to.
And that's huge.
Yeah.
You may have a resentment wall that's as tall as you are.
Yeah.
But you've got to be willing to put it aside or to break it down.
Yeah.
From both sides, because you only get to that point where you're battling constantly because you've both got built up resentment for each other. You're angry, you're upset, you're hurt. The other person feels exactly the same, and you're just at a stalemate. And it doesn't matter who does it first. No. It really doesn't.
I think one of the biggest factors, I think, when you've got a couple that are like that is therapy. You have to go for counselling.
Yeah.
You have to have someone in the middle as a mediator. To discuss the deeper topics rather than you two talking about the surface level that's riling each other up and causing resentment.
Sometimes just hearing the perspective from outside the relationship is really helpful because when you're in it so deep, you can't see that phrase, you can't see the wood for the trees. All you can see is your own hurt, your own resentment. You're not going to get anywhere. You need an outside perspective to say, look, actually, I'm going to give you some clarity here. This is what you're doing, and this is how I think that you could repair.
And I also think as well, like usually, and this might be a bold claim, bold statement, but what I tend to think is, when you're at that point where your wife's talking about leaving because she's fed up of what you've done and how you've been and all that sort of thing, she hasn't stopped loving you.
No.
she's just
most likely
she hasn't stopped loving you. It takes a long time, because women are emotional, men aren't. It takes a long time for a woman to fall out of love with someone.
And when she's done, she's done.
But when she's done, it's done.
Yeah,
So
and then it's too late.
Yeah. So most of the time, it's not that she doesn't love you anymore, that she's fallen out with love you. Because let's go back to what we were saying. Love is a choice. I think she's choosing to protect herself.
Yeah,
because she doesn't want to get hurt.
You could feel like your partner's let you down so many times. How many times are you going to keep? How many times are you going to keep standing in the line of fire, so to speak?
Yeah.
It becomes self-preservation at that point.
Yeah.
But it's not because she doesn't want it. Because trust me, if a woman doesn't want it, she's not trying at all.
You'll know.
She's checked out.
Yeah.
She's checked out. She's not communicating with you.
Yeah.
She wants nothing to do with anything to do with your life. Happy to live a separate life. And it will be one day that she comes home and just says, "I'm going."
Yeah.
But you have, most of the time, a lot of opportunities to prevent that happening.
Yeah.
I'm talking from a woman to a man here, but to prevent that happening before the woman does completely check out.
Yeah. And
she's almost pleading with you. I feel like she's almost pleading with you to make those adjustments to the relationship. And I've seen it myself. I've seen it with friends' relationships. I've seen it with external family relationships. It's the woman's almost crying out for you to listen to her.
Yeah, totally. So I do, and so even though you might think you're probably at a point where your relationship's checkmate and it's all going to go tits up and you're all going to go your separate ways, stuff like that, ask yourself, if I'm choosing to love this person that I'm with and I want to rescue this situation and rescue my marriage or my relationship, how am I going to show my partner, wife, that I love her? And you might go, no, if it's done and dusted, it's all gone, it's finished, she wants a divorce and all these sort of things, which might be true on paper or what she's saying, but the deeper levels are that she still probably loves you or wants to love you, but her walls are up, she's protecting herself. And so for a man, you've got to start rebuilding that trust, and it takes time. It literally takes a long time. Like even now, like we've probably been, it's been a year nearly now, is it?
Just over
a year. And even now, I'm still proving, I'm still showing. And people go, oh, what, you have to do that for the rest of your life? I don't really care if I have to, because I'm willing to, because I want to be with the person that I love. So you've got to ask yourself the question is, if you want to be with the person that you love,
no sacrifice is too big.
What are you willing to do? What are you willing to do? So there's our 3 foundational template actions that I think that you need to take. Number 1, you got to ask yourself who you are when everything's gone. Okay, when you've got no gym, no football, no job, no friends around you, and it's just you in a room, in a mirror,
raw at yourself.
Who are you? What do you stand for?
Yeah.
What are you doing? What are you living for?
Because if you don't know who you are, how can you be in a loving relationship, loving someone else?
Exactly. Number 2, time. Okay, you've got to create time, man. You've got to create time, intimate time, listening time. As a man, you stop trying to fix her, stop trying to fix and find solutions, but listen, shut up. Get your ears out, make quality time to listen. And guys, I'm with you on this. I've got not a lot of patience sometimes when it comes to listening to my wife. However, I will choose to listen because she wants to talk to me about stuff that I don't really care about, but I will choose to listen. You're
getting better at hiding which things you actually care about, which ones you don't.
Yeah. Phone down.
Exactly.
Exactly. So number 2, time. Yeah. And again, it's not just a date night once a month. Okay, I'm sick of people going, oh, date night, blah blah blah. Rekindling our relationship. It's a load of BS.
It's the little moments of intimacy throughout the day.
When you're cooking. We had a time a couple of days ago. We were just dancing in the kitchen together because we're just stupid. But just having time, like little bits of time, not waiting for.
It's not always getting dressed up, going out for
and showing the Instagram how good you are and all that sort of thing. And people don't care.
It's all the little things.
It's not going to fix your relationship. So quality, decent, intimate time. And if you can't be intimate with your partner because of the way the relationship's going, sitting down and just talking, just generally talking about things that made you get together in the first place, good times maybe.
Reminiscing's always a good one because it brings up good memories.
And then that leads into number 3. Then, like every day you're choosing to love your wife. Now, if your partner is at a point where she's had enough and she wants to leave, then instead of saying to yourself, what can I do to make her know that I love her? Just do the actions. Turn up every day. Do what needs to be done to show her. Try and knock down that protective wall that she's got that's holding her back from being vulnerable.
Because trust me, the minute you start doing that, you will start to get your needs met as well.
Yeah.
Many men keep saying, well, I've stopped trying because I'm not getting my needs met.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to listen to her because she doesn't give me sex, or whatever way you want to look at it.
Yeah.
I don't mean to be so like generalised about men and women, but you know, the minute you start to become a little bit selfless and start to give, it comes back tenfold.
Yeah.
It always does.
And if your relationship's a bit further on, like we spoke about, where you're looking at breaking up or living separately and all them sort of things, you might ask, but how can I get to choose to love her? Well, you can still make effort. You can still do little actions that show her that you're still thinking about her or that you still love her. Most of the time, guys, and I'll probably round this up as we head towards the end of the podcast, is this. Your wife, let's say your relationship's on the brink of breaking up, let's say you're having a talk about getting divorced or whatever, all your wife wants is the person that she fell in love with. Think about that. All your wife wants is the person that she fell in love with in the first place. You always talk about this, don't you? Like you used to say, I want my knife back that I fell in love with and all that sort of thing. Getting emotional there, mate. And so all your wife wants is the person that she fell in love with. So you've got to ask yourself, what have you done to change from that person?
What have you stopped doing?
What have you stopped doing?
What have you started doing?
Where have you put your effort elsewhere? And most of the time, if you don't know, then again, which is what I did when I seeked therapy, found out what I needed to do. But you've got to really, really, if you want to save your marriage and if you want to not get divorced or you want to rebuild a relationship, or even if you're in a relationship and it's okay, but you want it to get better, you got to do the hard work of yourself. You got to set time aside and you got to choose to show that you love your wife.
3 good pointers.
3 good pointers. And
Definitely.
guys, that comes to the end of our podcast number 28 of the Thai Dad podcast. Just to let you know, guys, that we have many men in our Thai Dad community. So if you want to join, the link is in the description. We're having topics regarding finances. We're having topics regarding fitness. We're having topics regarding family, relationships, how to create side hustles, how to burn fat, build muscle, how to delve into co-parenting, solicitor's advice, all the things that happen that you need as a dad. And we're building a community. I am trying to get 1 million dads on board that I can support and help, and I need you to do that. So please like, subscribe and share, and until next time, I'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.